Hey, so last video we talked about the menstrual cycle and what happens when a woman does not become pregnant. This video is about what happens when the egg is fertilized. So we're going to start talking about the germinal, just a little bit of an overview of what we just talked about. Then we'll talk about the embryonic and then the fetal stages. So prenatal development is the process where a single fertilized cell grows inside a mother's womb or uterus over 9 to 10 months to become a fully formed baby. So we have those three different stages. If birth control is not used during sex, a woman can or may get pregnant. So if the sperm cell joins with the egg, the fertilized egg is going to move down the fallopian tube and then towards the uterus. So as it's moving, it is growing into a ball of cells, and then that ball of cells will move down and attach to the side of the uterus. When that happens, this is when pregnancy officially begins. However, the body needs to get ready and prepared for that before it happens. So the embryo is going to develop from the cells on the inside of the ball of cells, and then the placenta grows from the outside. And again, we have those three stages. The germinal stage is the shortest stage of prenatal development, and this begins at conception. So when the sperm joins the egg in the fallopian tube, the sperm fertilizes the egg and creates something called a zygote. So over a course of about a week, the zygote is going to travel down the fallopian tube towards the uterus. And during this journey, it's dividing many, many times. And again, going to create those two structures, the fetus and the placenta. So one of those structures eventually becomes the embryo, and then the placenta. The cell division continues rapidly, and the zygote eventually becomes a blastocyst. The blastocyst reaches the uterus and implants into the uterine lining. And if this is successful, this is called implantation, and the body immediately begins producing hormones to support a pregnancy. And then the woman can also see like the stopping of her menstrual cycle. The second stage of the of prenatal development is the embryonic stage, and this lasts from about the third week of pregnancy until the end of the 8th week. So during this stage, the blastocyst begins to take on distinct human characteristics, and this is now called an embryo. Important structures such as the neural tube, the brain, and the spinal cord begin to develop. The head, eyes, mouth, and limbs are also developing at this time. And around 5 to 6 weeks, the cells that will become the heart begin to cluster together and can start to pulse. Buds that will become the arms and legs form around the 6th week. And then by the end of the 8th week, most of the embryo's major organs and body systems have taken shape. And this is the point in pregnancy when morning sickness begins. So the end of that 8th week is when when women tend to get this morning sickness. The last stage is the fetal stage, and this begins around the 9th week of pregnancy and lasts until birth. This is when the embryo officially becomes a fetus, and the fetus's biological sex at this time is determined early in development, although it cannot be detected on an ultrasound at the beginning of this time. It's going to take around like week 20. So the fetus's major organs and body systems will continue to grow and mature. We'll see things like fingernails, eyelashes, and hair begin to develop. And the fetus at this time can also move its limbs, although most pregnant people do not feel these movements until around 20 weeks of pregnancy. The majority of growth in both weight and height or length occurs during this fetal stage, which makes sense. So, here's some questions. What are the 3 stages of prenatal development and in the correct order? We have the germinal stage, we have the embryonic, and then we have the fetal stage. During which stage of prenatal development do the brain, spinal cord, and major organs begin to form? So this is going to happen at the second stage, which is called the embryonic stage. What happens to the blastocyst before pregnancy officially begins? What is happening is the zygote moves through the fallopian tube to the uterus to implant. Second question, second question, what event officially marks the beginning of pregnancy? This is going to be implantation. So this term implantation equals pregnancy. And the last question, what is a zygote and how is it formed? So a zygote is a fertilized egg cell. It's been fertilized by the sperm. So it forms because the sperm cell is joining the egg cell. And that is an overview of prenatal development. We are going to go into the different trimesters there are and what we can kind of understand is happening during this fetal stage.